The reality, Jeff, is that you can't compete from a financial perspective. It's not even close. It's not even close. And that's why we're going to have two entirely separate worlds, in my opinion, within college football.
When you say two entirely separate worlds, do you envision a near future where there is truly a group of five playoff, let's call it, versus a Power Five playoff or separate schedules? How do you see that kind of evolving?
As a businessman, I think if you really pay attention to where the money is and you're objective and open-minded, you don't get emotional about it, you could probably tell that wherever that money's going, that's what's going to wind up happening. So what I would envision is that there are about 65 schools or so in the Power Five conferences. And not all of them are superstars, but they're all in the Power Five. Then you've got some very good schools, of course, in the group of five schools. But I would anticipate that at some point, just to keep it simple, Power Five or group of five, I would recommend that the Power Five break away from the NCAA because they don't need the NCAA, and they have to establish their own governing body, and they take care of themselves as best they possibly can. They're going to have different resources than everybody does. They're going to have far greater television coverage than anybody does. Whether that becomes they have two super conferences within the Power Five, then they play like a super conference Power Five football, Super Bowl. However they ultimately figure it out, I anticipate that would happen.
What do you think is the tipping point or trigger to making that happen, given there is a lot of emotion involved, given these are often presidential decisions, even if they're led by a commissioner of their conference, and presidents tend to be risk averse. They want to be collegial. They want to avoid massive change most of the time.
I think, number one, I totally agree that the presidents will make the decision. And the commissioners, I can see where they don't even like this idea because they're not all going to have jobs. So you have a conflict of interest today between anybody that's connected with a particular school wants to do the best thing for that school. Anybody that's connected with a particular conference, secondly, wants to do the best thing for that conference. But that may not be in the best interest of another school. It may not be in the best interest of conferences that have different level of resources. There's going to be a trigger. I think it's to what extent the NCAA wants to make their presence felt at the Power Five level of football. And if they start to give the Power Five a hard time as to how they handle NIL or how they handle the scholarship or how they handle this or how they handle that, I could see where the presidents, raise their hand and say, no, we just don't need this. We can do something ourselves. By the way, I'm not suggesting that the entire school breaks away from the NCAA, but the Power Five football programs separate themselves. All the other athletic teams within that college or within that conference, or including FCS, 1AA type football, and even the group of five football, will still report to the NCAA.
I've heard some leaders at universities agree with the point of view you have and the future you envision, but they have trouble envisioning how they will sustain all of those other programs if football has broken away and they can't use football dollars necessarily to operate the Olympic sports. And if it is truly separate budgets, let's say, with separate governing bodies, they have a really hard time figuring out how that's going to work.
I think the presidents of the majority of our colleges in our country are very bright people. Our president, Mike Benson, I think the guy's a scholar on one hand, but he appreciates the role of athletics, and he would do everything he can to do what he believes is the best interest of Coastal Carolina. That's not just football, but he recognizes the significance football plays. So I give a lot of credit to the college presidents, the university presidents, for their ability to be able to figure something out. You've got athletic directors that need to be able to figure something out. You've got leagues that need to be able to figure something out. So the bottom line is, if I'm the president of university, I really do have the best interest of my university at heart, but I recognize how much money my football program, in effect, can bring in. Now, while it may be governed separately, it's still my school getting that money. And we know we got to take care of football. We know we've got to do that. That's why we're getting all this money coming in the door. But there's no reason why, if I needed money to be able to take care of some of the other programs, I will say, of that $100 million you're getting, I want 25%. I want 50% of it